Let's talk about something really important today: the choices we make before we even turn the key in the ignition. We're going to break down the very real risks of driving under the influence, and we'll be using official DMV test materials to guide us. Okay, let's dive right in. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. When you hear the words impaired driving, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's just about alcohol. But is that really the whole picture? Let's find out. The best way to wrap your head around this is with an analogy. Picture yourself as the captain of a ship caught in a massive storm. Driving impaired is like trying to navigate that storm with a broken compass. Your internal tools, your reaction time, your judgment, your vision, they're all failing you, even if you don't feel it. So let's start by figuring out what exactly is breaking that internal compass. It turns out there are some hidden causes of impairment that go way beyond just having a few drinks. Okay, here is the number one myth we need to bust, like right now. This idea that you only need to worry about being impaired after a night of heavy drinking, it's not just wrong, it's actually really dangerous. The real definition is so much broader. And check this out. This quote from the DMV materials really says it all. It's a huge reminder that impairment isn't just about illegal drugs or booze. It can start with something you bought at the pharmacy. So what are we really talking about here? Well, the list is probably wider than you think. Yeah, alcohol is on it, but so are prescription medications and even common over-the-counter drugs you can buy anywhere. Any one of these can throw your internal compass off, but the real danger, that's when you start combining them. And here is why mixing is such a bad idea. It's like a double whammy. First, the alcohol can crank up the side effects of the medication to a dangerous level. And second, it can actually make the medicine not work as well for whatever you took it for. It's not just adding one effect on top of another. It's creating a totally new, harmful reaction that messes with your ability to drive safely. All right, next up, let's talk about the variables. Because impairment isn't some simple one-size-fits-all thing. It's personal. Different factors can completely change how a substance affects your body and your judgment behind the wheel. Let's take a super common variable: body weight. Someone who weighs less can become impaired and hit a higher blood alcohol concentration way faster than a heavier person who had the exact same number of drinks. And knowing that BAC number is absolutely critical because the law has very specific limits. In California, if you're 21 or over, that line is 0.08%. For a commercial driver, it's way lower, 0.04%. And if you're under 21, forget about it. There's zero tolerance. A BAC of just 0.01% can get you a DUI. But it's not just about what you consume. Your physical state plays a massive role. And there's also a legal thing called implied consent. Basically, just by having a driver's license, you've already agreed to take a breath, blood, or urine test if an officer suspects you're impaired. If you refuse, that can be an automatic 1-year license suspension. So the law is serious, but so is your own body's condition. And this is a pretty chilling warning right from the DMV's source material. Being extremely tired can actually look and feel a lot like being drunk. Driving drowsy is so dangerous because it can lead to the absolute worst-case scenario. You fall asleep at the wheel. Your reaction time is shot. Your judgment is cloudy. Sound familiar? It's that same broken compass. So when you think about all these different factors and the strict legal lines, it's no wonder people might look for a quick fix. And that brings us to one of the biggest, most dangerous myths out there: the idea that you can somehow speed up the sobering process. Let's see what the official sources have to say about that. So I'll ask you straight up, what do you think is the fastest way to reverse the effects of alcohol? I mean, think about all the cures you've heard about over the years. What's the go-to trick? I bet a lot of people would name one of these, right? A big cup of strong coffee, a freezing cold shower to wake you up, maybe chugging a gallon of water. But guess what? According to the official material, these are just myths. They might make you feel more alert for a minute, but they do absolutely nothing to lower the amount of alcohol in your blood. So what's the real answer? What actually works? It all comes down to one single powerful word: time. That is it. The source material is crystal clear on this. Your body, specifically your liver, needs time to process the alcohol. There are no shortcuts, no magic potions, only time can fix that broken compass. Okay, so we've covered what impairment is, what the law says, and the myths that don't work. Now for the most important part: how do we make the safe choice? Let's go back to our ship analogy and talk about being the sober pilot. This right here is the main takeaway. Your car is just a machine. It's probably working perfectly fine. When you drive impaired, you are the broken part. You become the faulty compass that's steering the ship straight into danger. The only safe and responsible choice in that moment is to let a sober pilot take over. So how do we do that? How do we make sure we're always the safe captain? Well, you make the decision before your compass ever has a chance to break. It comes down to these simple steps. Plan ahead and get a designated driver. Call a taxi or a rideshare. If you have to, just stay put until you're sober. And speak up if you see a friend about to make a bad choice. These aren't just suggestions. They're your best defense against some really serious consequences. I mean, a first-time DUI can land you in jail for up to 6 months, cost thousands in fines, and stay on your public driving record for 10 years. That is a steep, steep price to pay. So we're going to end right where we started, with a choice. Now that you know the real risks from alcohol, from your prescription, or even from just being too tired, you have the power to make the right one. The next time you're faced with that situation, are you going to trust a broken compass, or are you going to hand the wheel to a sober pilot? The right choice is everything.